Welcome to the Not So Intellectual Podcast, the Halloween edition, also the very first edition of the podcast. On today's episode, we're going to be focusing on the paranormal, specifically the paranormal encounters. I know I have a couple of them in my history since I was little. But we're also going to be having special guest storytellers. Hopefully I can get my mom to tell her UFO encounter that she had when she was little. But our first storyteller is my father, Ricardo Sr. He's going to be talking about his upbringing, his haunted upbringing, living in Villahermosa, Jalisco, in Mexico. He's going to be telling the story in Spanish. I'm going to go ahead and translate after. If you don't speak Spanish, go ahead and fast forward, and I'll go ahead and tell you his story. All right? Get ready for a good one.
Hola, mi nombre es Ricardo. Y quiero contarles unas anécdotas que pasaron en mi pueblo. Fueron unas cosas que se oían en mi casa. Era todas las noches, a las 12 de la noche, se oían que se caían los trastes de donde los tenía mi mamá puestos. Se oía que se quebraban. Al día siguiente nos despertábamos y todo estaba bien. Otra de las cosas también que pasaba era de que se oían, las cercas eran de piedra y se oía que se caían todas las piedras. Y nunca, o sea, al día siguiente íbamos a ver y nada, todo estaba normal. Y también otra cosa, también se oían que venían caballos corriendo y salíamos y nada, no se oyó, no mirábamos nada. Otra cosa también que nos pasó fue cuando era de Semana Santa, íbamos a jugar fútbol y las señoras que nos miraban que íbamos para el campo nos decían que no fuéramos a jugar porque ese día no podíamos hacer nada, absolutamente no podíamos jugar porque era Semana Santa. Pues llegamos al campo, así nos fuimos, llegamos al campo y a la primera patada que le dimos al balón explotó y todos salimos corriendo, hasta la casa nos fuimos, corre y esa fue otra cosa. Y otra cosa también, un día estaba con mis amigos, tenemos como unos 6 años y miramos, estábamos todos en bola ahí y de una repente miramos que un árbol se prendió en lumbre, de la nada, se prendió en lumbre todo y nos fuimos corriendo, bien asustados también. Y pues eso es todo. Espero que les haya gustado mis anécdotas que tuve de chiquito. Pues hasta la fecha todavía base a eso no puedo mirar películas que sean de miedo porque en la noche no puedo dormir. Base a eso, todo eso que me pasó. Espero que les haya gustado mis anécdotas. Gracias.
Alrighty, for those who understood what my dad was saying, it's a pretty creepy one. Growing up in his pueblo, basically he said that growing up he grew up in a house where every night around midnight and around 3 a.m. His mother's china set you would hear it clearly crash on the floor. And just, you would hear it and feel it, he says. And in the morning they'd wake up and it'd be like nothing happened. There was no plate that was in its wrong place. Everything was totally fine. But they heard and felt the vibrations of the breaking of a glass and the plates on the floor. And that's what he remembers very clearly. He also remembers hearing like wild horses galloping down the streets where he can hear it when he was sleeping. And he says that it's not only him that remembers these things that happened to him, but also his siblings, my uncles and aunts. I have asked some of them, and they say that it's true that they would hear those horses just barreling down the street and just going crazy, but every time they would look, there would be nothing there. The last thing he said was, the last story he mentioned was when he was a young kid, around 10. He went to go play a soccer game with his friends, but his a local lady told him that they weren't supposed to be playing that time because it's a holy day or whatever it was. And they didn't pay much attention to her. They thought she was batshit crazy, so they just went on in their way. As they started to play, literally right when they hit the ball, apparently it blew up into it just blew up. Needless to say, they were like scared shitless and just ran off. But yeah, my personal accounts of my growing up in haunted houses. I'm not sure if it's just a Mexican thing that you grow up in haunted houses, but I sure have a couple of things that I can't explain. And I like to be a logical person. I don't necessarily like saying that it's something without any proof, But I can explain some of the things I saw when I was young. So let's start. Let's start with when I was a kid living in an apartment in Roscoe. It was an apartment. It was a 2-story one. There would be the living room and the kitchen in the first story, and then the second story it would be the bedrooms. And I remembered when we were asleep, I could hear people or someone kind of walk up the stairs, but everyone would be asleep. And I'm not the only one who kind of remembers this, because the middle child, my sister, she also remembers these things. And then my older sister had the creepiest encounter yet in that house, or in that apartment. While she was getting ready for school or to go out, I wasn't quite sure. She started to kind of do her hair or whatever she was doing, and she thought that my mother had sat on her bed. She clearly kind of felt and saw something, not totally paying attention, and she saw someone just sit on her bed. And she started talking to the person or whatever it was, if she knew her. And there was no response that she was getting from her, so she kind of started kind of parted her hair and looked up, and she saw that it was a lady in a red dress. Needless to say, she freaked the fuck out, and she called for my mother. I remember that day, and I think my other sister remembers that day as well, because she literally screamed, and we were fucking terrified because we don't know what the hell was going on. So my mother went up there, and my sister ended up telling her what happened. And she said that it was a lady with brunette hair, brownish hair, in a red dress, and she just screamed. Another crazy thing that would happen in that house was things would move. Let's say you're eating a plate, you're in your dinner, whatever, and your plate will start to move in one direction, and you can clearly see it's moving. There's no real way for it to be moving. I mean, the apartment wasn't in a slope or anything like that. It was it's hard to explain. Another thing that would happen was back when people would have house phones. Our house phone, we'd put it on its back because it kind of had a slope like that. And it would literally start to spin. And if you'd leave it alone, it'd just go fucking to town and just keep spinning. We don't know what the fuck was that about, but it was pretty trippy. The last thing that happened in that house, let's see. My friend Ivan, he was over one day, and we were talking about our experiences in that house. As we were telling them what would hear and what my sister saw, and the moving of the phone and the plates and all that stuff, he was saying, "Oh, you guys are bullshitting me. You guys are just trying to scare me." And as he was saying that, our light fixture that was on top of the kitchen. But by the way, we were sitting on the table, around the table, kitchen table, and there's like a light fixture with a fan on, and it literally just fell with force, just fell like that, and it just, you could hear like the glass shatter and everything. When it happened, my friend just booked the fuck out of the house, and we were just like shocked, like, oh shit, like we didn't expect that to happen. Imagine that. But yeah, that's a crazy one right there. All right, so moving on to the second house that we lived at. That would be the one on Lowell. Yeah, so there was this house on Lowell. It's in Van Nuys on Lowell Street. It had a pool in the back. It was really nice. It was like refurnished and all that stuff. It was had like it was really nice. It was a really nice house. It had the bedrooms on one side of the house, and then the living room and the kitchen on the other side. And then like I said, a pool in the backyard. What started it was my sister. She would accuse me of messing with her at night, like trying to scare her. But I didn't know what the hell she was talking about. I thought she was just like trying to just get on my nerves, or fucking just trying to get me in trouble. Until one day she told me, "Alright, if you're not messing with me, then you have to sleep in my room and you'll see what I'm going through." So I said, "Alright, you're just fucking tripping. You're on your period. I don't know what the fuck you're doing." So I said, "Alright, fine." I slept over into her room, and while we were watching, I think it was Conan O'Brien, I could literally see and hear the doorknob to our bathroom would start to turn like this. By the way, we shared a bathroom. Our rooms, that's why she thought I was fucking with her at night. Our rooms shared a bathroom, and I wasn't in my room. I was in her room. She was sitting next to me. We were watching Conan O'Brien, and we were seeing this handle to the bathroom shake like this. The only type of like logic that came to my head is like, okay, maybe there's like a rat stuck in the middle of the frame of the door, and like it's trapped right there where the handle is, and that's why it's making it turn like that. But it's a pretty long stretch for it to be that, but who knows. While another reason why I don't think it was that was my own experience, other than that one and the scratching that we heard that night, was I had just got off of work, and my mother at the time, or she still kind of does nanny work. She nannies little children, and she, like kids would do, they would like kind of mess with kids, like mess with me, or just like, you know, do what kids do and just try to annoy. I went in my house. No, I didn't think anyone was home either. I go straight to my room. I start to get unchanged, and I clearly hear like a knock 3 times. Like that, like if someone was trying to fuck with you, like, and a little girl laugh. I got pissed off. I got up. I opened the door real fast, and I thought my mom was there, and I said, "Mom, get your little kids away from my door." There was no response. I was like, all right. I walked out into the living room. There was no one there. I was freaked. I don't know what the fuck that was, but I clearly heard and felt the vibrations of the knocking and the little girl laugh through my damn door. I don't know what the fuck that was. And yes, I do smoke weed, but like there is no weed out there. And I've smoked like the fucking purest of like King Kong shit. There is no weed out there that's ever made me think that I'm seeing or hearing or feeling something that's not there. That's just not for me. I mean, that's never happened to me. So I was sober that day, and I clearly heard those 3 knocks and the little girl laughing. So that's a crazy one right there. The last thing that happened in that house was the picture for Christmas, which I will put up probably right now. It was Christmas, and my grandparents were over from my mother's side, and we were taking a picture in front of not necessarily, kind of in front of the pool, but we were still inside. What separated the house and the pool from, like, whatever, was a glass door, like a glass sliding door, and we were taking the how did it go? The Christmas tree was here, and then the sliding doors were on this side. So we kind of like positioned ourselves to take a picture and kind of show the background too. As the pictures developed and all that stuff, we were looking at it. Or I'm not sure how it came to be that I even noticed that there was something like in the background that I was like wasn't quite sure what the hell it was. I think it was me that noticed it. And as I kind of zoomed into the picture in the background, you can clearly see a face of a little girl, just like in the background. Sure, it could be just a random scattered pattern. Our minds are, built to see faces in random patterns. So who knows? Maybe it was just that. But how everything kind of correlates kind of makes you think. It's kind of weird. Yeah, that's a weird one right there. The other house that we used to live in was in Reseda. This house was kind of like a suburban kind of ranch. It had like a long front entrance that was like with a lot of grass and then like a driveway to the front. So the house kind of was separated. There was a back house and there was a front house. We lived in the front house, and the daughter of the owner lived in the back. There's a couple of stories right there. That one's the most freakiest one. Literally moving in on move-in day, my sister, she said that when she was carrying her box to her new room, that there was a man in the room, and as she kind of turned into her door towards the room, she literally walked into the face-to-face with that man. And with the ways that she described them was, it was a man with a top hat, long, like a slender type of dude, with a top hat and a long, like, black trench coat type of situation. And it just dissolved, poofed out of the way. I remember that day because she screamed pretty freaking loud. We kind of just dropped our things and went over to see if maybe like someone broke in or whatever. And no, she was just pale, and like she explained what happened. When we asked the owner of the house, like if there was any like, history or whatever, he clearly said that there was a man that used to own the property way back when the valley was still like a rural farm area. He was a pianist, and his wife had died there, and he also died there. And we didn't tell him what we saw. We just asked him, like, is there any like thing that we should know, like any like hauntings or whatever? Don't know what we asked him that, but literally, yeah, he described the man to the T, like my sister had said, and we didn't tell him anything. It was pretty fucking crazy. Another thing, going with the same theme of that weird slendery like top hat dude. I was with my friend Ivan, the one I mentioned earlier, and we were playing video games, and I had been telling them like the things that my sister had seen and the other like history that kind of correlated with what she saw. And as we were talking about it, he was skeptical, and I was like, yeah, okay. As we were talking about it, I clearly saw, and I believe he also saw a figure in our door, like in the door, kind of manifest itself, and it was the outlining of a slender, tall dude with a top hat and a fucking trench coat. I literally saw it. I didn't mention anything, just to see. Okay, I was freaking out, but I just kept talking. I just didn't pay attention to it. And I saw my friend's face, and he was just freaking the fuck out. I asked him, what did he see? He said, I think I saw what you were talking about. And I said, the long guy was standing right there on the door, wasn't he? And he just said, yeah. Alright, I think I'm gonna go home. He literally left right then and there. It was pretty trippy. The last thing, the second to the last thing. My sister the middle child, and my mother were watching. We were watching TV. I'm not sure what it was, but I was just like, I was really into it. And my sister and my mother are the ones that actually saw this, but I was there when it happened. I just didn't see anything. The way that the door to this house was, it was kind of like one of these like doors, French doors, I think they're called. Literally, what happened, how it started, was a big gust of wind kind of blew open the doors, like literally blew it open. And what my mom and my sister saw, they didn't say anything. They just took turns to say what they saw. And what they say they saw was that a little girl in like a white baptism like gown. You know what? I'm not sure if you know what that would be. But in a white baptism gown, just walking in and then dissolving into nothingness. And clearly they both saw the same thing. They didn't necessarily said it at the same time. They just took turns to say, okay, what did you see? And then my sister was the one that said that, and then she said, yep, that's exactly what I saw. I said, I didn't know what the hell you guys are talking about. Like, I didn't say anything, but I clearly saw the door like burst open because of the gust of the wind. The last thing I saw there, while I was kind of walking towards to school, I had through my peripheral vision, I had thought I had seen like I guess a maintenance worker or a gardener kind of messing like with the plants there, and I didn't pay much attention to it, and I just kept walking, and kind of like through the cracks of the gate that I was walking past, like I stopped seeing him, but like I clearly saw him working through my peripheral vision, and then nothing. I walked back inside to see maybe like someone had jumped in and just like was trying to like hide, and I don't know, and there was clearly nothing there. So that was a crazy one right there. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff out there. But yeah, let's see. As far as alien encounters, or like paranormal like alien encounters, let's see. I actually do have one. I just don't know what it was. So I guess it's a UFO. This happened in San Fernando, and this was closer near Silmar. And my older sister, lived in the apartments, and she had like an apartment like that took a person. The person would need to go upstairs to go to her apartment, and she had like a little mini balcony to kind of walk into her house. It was nighttime when I saw this thing. I stepped out to like I'm not sure whether to smoke I think it was probably a joint or something. So maybe, who knows? But I clearly saw what looked like an overgrown like soda can, but it had red lights kind of spinning around it, and it was really low, like it was going like it was coming down like towards me, and I just try not to freak the fuck out, but something that's coming at my way while I was smoking a joint, and I think it's fucking aliens trying to abduct me. Of course I was gonna fucking go back inside. I'm not gonna even try to fucking get out there. It took time to like kind of get my faculties together, and I looked back outside, and it was just gone. I didn't see it anymore. I don't know why I didn't take out my damn camera and start fucking recording it. You would think, but of course a person doesn't necessarily do that when they're stoned out of their minds and start thinking that they're about to be abducted by a fucking alien. But hey, maybe next time I'll find something, or I'll get my faculties right, and I'll be able to get a good evidence of that shit. Yeah, this is the starting of a podcast. I'm just gonna take this slow. I'm gonna do this at least once a month. We're gonna have interesting guests. We're not only gonna be talking about paranormal stuff. We're gonna talk about the whole spectrum of things. But I hope you guys come with me in this journey. And let's see, we have one more storyteller, and I hope she kind of makes it today. But let's see.